second Thursday or third Thursday. Let's see. It is the third Thursday of the month of February. And in this video here, every Thursday is Health Day. So hopefully you guys did something to be healthier. Did some jumping jacks, push-ups, touch your toes. Didn't smoke today. Did a fast. Drank your alkaline water. Something that will allow you to be healthier as a human being. So in this video here, I want to talk about, and every Thursday we talk about the global aspects of what we're dealing with as a people. And some of the things that I'm going to be highlighting today, you can find it on my Facebook page too. I did post yesterday the global black posture, and just look at the images of this. You know, you got black Americans, you got black Africans in the G20 states, nations, you got black South Americans, and then you got black Africans. And I'm going to talk from this standpoint in this video. That's what I'm going to be speaking from, that vantage point here. So the state of blacks all around the world is unacceptable, to say the least. And we have a lot of help. Whenever I hear people criticize and talk about black people, the black attitude and being lazy, things of that nature, I always wonder, are they coming from an ignorant standpoint, cowardly standpoint, meaning they know better, or they just flat out evil? You can't, no one can tell me how all around the world we have black people on the bottom, worse health, worse living locations, always acquiescing to what the lighter skin is doing. And what I'm about to share with you here is going to really give you clarity. And for those who don't know, I am teaching. I'm showing people the structure and the system that we have. Again, for those who are this first time watching, when you look at the state of black people globally, we have 6 problems or 6 attacks every day. 3 internal, 3 external. The three external attacks is isolation, starvation, exploitation, ISE. Isolation, starvation, exploitation. On the internal attacks, because of what happened externally, you have hurt, abuse, and bitterness, HAB, hurt, abuse, and bitterness. And so between the external attacks and the internal attacks, all black people are in a constant state of responding to the wannabe white supremacy. Everything we do, even the richest people, that's filthy rich, you know, in Europe, going to shopping stores, they get challenged by a 40,000 a year salesperson, wondering if they can afford the stuff they're in the store with. So, or that same filthy rich black person getting pulled over by $80,000 a year police officer because of their skin color. So just because you have money don't make you escape this perception around the world that black should be on the bottom. Henceforth, why I say the global anti-black conspiracy. So let's get in it. Let's get at it. So let me first, before I do that, those who don't know me, this here is the manual that we're going to be teaching from going forward. Right now, the countries behind me here, this South Africa here, this Djibouti. Then on Saturday, we're going to have Botswana. But all of that is inside of this document that's going to help black people live better and do better. And everything you see there boils down to these processes that's going to allow black people to have their own structure, their own system, and it is going to impact us as individuals. Our own structure, our own systems that's going to impact us individually. So the structure issue is there are people who belong to these financial institutions that are multinational who have structurally set the world up in an exploitative way. There are businesses, multinational, who are exploiting everyone. They use blacks to ensure that we're the floor, to make sure that blacks stay on the bottom, because if blacks stay on the bottom, then everyone else have a base to stand on. So now what's happened is you got everybody being affected by the high prices of the same structures that are the great grandchildren of the ones who thought it was appropriate to enslave people. All right. That's what we're dealing with. The same passed down legacies from these families who it was always about greed is now affecting even the very people that look like them. As long as it was affecting blacks, it was okay. But now that it's affecting everyone, it's a collateral damage situation. So those are the structures. So picture structures as for-profit entities that's all about making money. Those are your private equity. They can't hide away what they're doing. Those are the shareholders, all about profits. Forget the people's pain, profits. So that's the structures of the world. Then you have the systems. So the structures are entities for profit mainly. Then the systems are the government. The systems are the policies that's enacted by the same people with the money that pretty much pays the politicians, lobbyists, whatever you want to call them, to do their bidding, to change laws, to implement eminent domain, to take property and land. So systems is based on the government. Okay. Then the last one is us as individuals, which you can attach that more to our faith, whatever the religious belief system you operate under. And we know the role religion plays in people's lives, but that's the receiving end, the individual. We receive what the structures do to us, what the systems do to us, and we just find ways to cope with it. Some people use religion to cope with what they're going through. So with all of that, SSI, structure, systems, individual, any black person that would try to combat those structures and systems will be killed. We have a long list of our ancestors who died fighting against this evil structure and system that's has been operating. So we needed something different, because if not, they'll just kill whoever's gonna work on stopping their exploitation. Father Time is 100%. Time is one succession after the next. Time. There's 86,400 seconds every day. So time is gonna eclipse every last one of these wannabe supremacists, every one of these governments, every one of these leaders. They're gonna expire at some point, because that's human nature. So when you talk about changing the black paradigm all around the world, we needed to have something that is going to outlive us, and that's time. So a perfect example of how we've organized around time is our Wednesday agenda. I told you when I first started the video, today is Thursday Health Day. Every Thursday is Health Day. Whether I'm dead or alive, Health Day. Every Wednesday is Economic Day. So what would happen when black people around the world is in unison, in coordination, that using time of Wednesday, we're not giving our money to people who don't think we're worthy, to people who think it's okay to not repair the wrongs that's been done to black people. We're not giving our money to them. We're not going to get them the bullets to shoot us with. That's what using Wednesday time is. I get it. We shouldn't get them money anytime. I get that. We shouldn't. It shouldn't be child molesters out here. So we got the should have been, but the fact is, it's a reality. It happens. So how can we now use time in a coordinated fashion with no leader? So there's no one to kill. We just agreed as a people that one day out the week, we're going to make damn sure we don't give our money to people who don't care about us. So that's an example on how we can use, create our own system, which is what we call the 7 daily living habits: Sunday, family day; Monday, safety day; Tuesday, education day; Wednesday, economic day; Thursday, health day; Friday, senior citizens day; Saturday, youth day, to ensure that we're treating the whole human being, from our children, from our elders, our family, our health, our safety, our education. That's what the habits do. And by giving it those timetables, it allows it to keep repeating 52 times a year. There's no leader. It's about us agreeing to that code and then buying into it. Now we're on our way in formation without a leader. So that's that aspect. Now let me give you the structure. That's the system. Let me give you the structure. So the structure boils down to having a guaranteed audience. We need a guaranteed audience. Back in the day, we called it the village, where we lived, worked, and worshiped amongst each other. So we was always there to support each other. Well, in the global society now, people are all over the place. So the likelihood of that village has taken on a different look. Our philosophy is block by block, because everyone lives on the blocks for the most part, and we use zip codes as the baseline in the United States of America. There's 20 zip codes out of Chicago that black people are the majority in. So those 20 zip codes structurally have been linked to 20 different U.S. cities. It's been linked to 20 different countries in Africa. it's been linked to 20 different career professions. And the reason for that is to be able to create our own society where we have all these guaranteed audiences that we're going to coordinate together, not unify. I think that word, we got to be careful using that word. We got to coordinate together. So those 20 zip codes, 20 cities, 20 countries in Africa, 20 career professions coordinating together. Each one of them have one day. This takes us back to a system, one day out the month that they're on duty. Because whenever we say let's coordinate together, we got to make sure who's holding down the fort at any given time. So today, who's holding down the fort is South Africa. That's the flag there, South Africa. That every third Wednesday of the month is South Africa's day, but also we have a part of the system that allows it to do a little bit more once a year, and that's where it's doing it now. But anyway, the point is every one of those zip codes, sister cities, countries in Africa have a system of once a month rotation. This is our guaranteed audience. So when I talk to business people, they say, I need more customers. Let's go to our guaranteed audience. Let's build that up. Let's make sure we're meeting people in all those zip codes, those cities, and the countries in Africa so we can be there for each other in coordination. So having said that, I gave you guys the problems we have, which is the multinational corporation structures that's working against our interests globally. I gave you the systems, which are the governments that put black leaders in place and still use them to work against their people. That's the system. Then I gave you the individuals, which is the primarily how we cope with life, our faith, and how that's worked against us. Remember, back in 1452 or something, the Pope gave the permission for slavery, for those who don't know. So anyway, that's the individual piece, SSI. I gave you our solution for that. Structure, 20 zip codes, not owned by us. The post office owns the zip codes, but we're using the zip codes because in the United States of America, everyone lives in the zip code. So we use something that's pre-existing, the zip codes, but we linked it to a different U.S. city, linked it to a different country in Africa, linked it to one career profession. That's our guaranteed audience. The system is the 7 daily living habits I talked about and how using time keeps repeating so that we can always just latch on when it works best for us. Individual, each and every person, we have to be able to name at least 4 black people, black businesses that we spend money with. If you're adopting the habits of every Wednesday being economic day, then that means Wednesdays you spend some money with black owned businesses. If you're a white person, we always say the number one thing white people can do to help black people individually is spend money with a black owned business. So if you are the European descent, spending money with black owned businesses will allow the black businesses to become more financially stable, sound, grow. And that growth means they're probably going to take the risk of hiring another African-American, even someone with a criminal record possibly, to invest in them because they're close to them. So instead of you coming in and trying to save or help through them, help through the businesses who are more entrenched with the conditions of the people. So anyway, that's what the name your 4, which is 4 black businesses you circulate money with. That's what we can do individually to really add value to this effort to get blacks off the bottom. So gave you SSI, both working against us and for us. Here's the bad news here. The United Nations, and this is the document here. It's posted on my page here, so I'm gonna go through each one of these. United Nations, the International Organization of Migration, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the G7, and the G20 are structures, meaning there are people who work together, and those structures, unfortunately, have one thing in common, and that what's in common is the global anti-black conspiracy. I know that's a big charge to levy, but let me tell you my justification for it. We've been, South Africa got its anti-apartheid, its freedom in 1994, not that long ago. And so think about it, 1994, these structures been around. The UN started October 25th, 1945, 1951. The International Organization of Migration started for white people only. 1951, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank started in 1944. The G7 started November 1975. The G20 started September 26, 1999. So in all this time that all these structures Global structures existed. No one found it worthy to repair the wrongs that was done during the transatlantic slave trade, colonization, for-profit rapes. In the UK, they just paid back a 182-year loan that they paid the evil ones that had people enslaved. They just paid that loan off. So what was the purpose of these structures if it wasn't anti-black? Because these entities, ideally, the World Bank says on their website, their goal is to reduce poverty. Poverty is not reduced in Africa. So is it anti the world except Africa? The International Monetary Fund on their website say their job is to create financial stability. Africa, with the God-given resources that it has, is in dire straits. And it's because of the world feeling like it's an anti-black and going there and taking its raw materials out. And so when you look at the UN, you look at all these groups, the International Organization of Migration that first started international European migration, it's designed right now under the UN to replace, or they're not going to say that, but put Latin people into black neighborhoods in the United States of America. They literally have funding, and keep in mind that most of their funding come from America, the U.S. Same with the U.S. funds, the United Nations. They headquartered in New York. But so we're using U.S. tax dollars to pay for people to migrate up. Now, for some of my people in Chicago, third largest city in America, they was wondering, how can the Democratic Party be so for this stuff? Like, what's the problem? Why are they allowing this to happen? And I'm gonna go back to SSI, structure, systems, individual. So in this case, the systems right now with this technology, social media, and the voices out there, the call for reparations is getting louder and louder. And there are insecure human beings that feel threatened by that. Instead of saying, I want to do right, I did wrong by my loved one, I want to apologize to that loved one so we can be better. Instead of doing that, it's the iron curtain of no remorse. I just want to just leave it alone, just walk away. It's been a long time now, just let it go. So that's the ungrateful, that's the cowardly approach. So instead of addressing it head on, you want to gloss over it, just say that was a long time ago. But the truth is, there's no way around this. Injury occurred, and after injury is repair. After repair, then you can go into peace or healing. But you can't just go from injury and just say get over it and then go into peace. There will be no peace with the injury here. To add insult to injury, you literally have the wannabe supremacy now selling marijuana. When these children that's robbing and jumping out on cars, their dads went to jail for marijuana. They got records, been in jail for 20, 30 years over marijuana. And now white men are selling marijuana, and it's a anger that's building in the young black male population because of that. And they seen 40 years ago 5 grams of cocaine versus 50 grams of powder, and what happened with the jail sentencing. So it's a constant drumbeat of anti-black, and it's been around for a very, very long time. Now, for me and you and black people, we know this, but for them. But these structures, the G7 it was really white European countries that got together, and those same governments that got together to form the G6, then the G7, were the same ones that had the 1884 Berlin Conference, where they had to scramble for Africa, where these people got together and thought it was appropriate to divide up someone else's sovereign country and take their natural resources. So that's what we're dealing with, that type of spirit. So anyway, all of these structures are with the same mindset of blacks on the bottom, wherever you are in the world. The good news for all of us is the technology is there, where we got the voice to put our perspective out there to the world. That helps big time. We have the financial tools in place now to pool money together, And then the third thing, which is, arguably the most important thing for us to be able to do right now, is to use time so that we can get on the same coordination level, because that's really what it boils down to. Because there's some power that we have as a people, but it starts with us doing this, coordinating together. I get fighting. We've been fighting our whole time, but we have to build. So we can do both, build and fight. But since we put all our eggs in the fight bucket, let's build. And the building starts with people pulling together $1. That's right, $1. There's 46 million black people in the United States of America. 46 million. It's the largest racial group in this country. And just imagine half of them doing $1. That's $23 million of black agreement. Black agreement. That's what it boils down to. And that black agreement then will allow us to make what I just talked about function. So when I said those 20 zip codes in Chicago being linked to 20 U.S. cities, being linked to 20 African countries, imagine now $23 million to invest in each of those places to make sure that three things are happening. We had to make sure that we're using our human capital. I'm a retired nurse with this adult nurse, with this young 16-year-old that want to be a nurse. We had to get that synchronized up. Every third Wednesday is Nurses Day. Remember, use time. That's our system. That 80-year-old retired carpenter, that 40-year-old master carpenter, and that 16-year-old that want to be a carpenter. Every fourth Monday system, they marry together all over the world. Synchronization. $23 million or $46 million funding this. That's the path forward. No one is going to argue and fight us over them giving up $1 a month. So that's just a matter of getting into our people and making sure that they can see the value of the retirees, adults, and youth for every profession. That's all linked to 20 different zip codes. That's linked to 20 different career professions that integrate us together. We know the 7-day living habits allow us to be on the same page without no meeting, without no coming together. We know Wednesday is don't give our money to our oppressor day. So that's that's a tad bit of what I wanted to share. The biggest thing was to make sure you guys know how the United Nations is behind this migration piece, with all this money going to these migrants in Detroit, in Chicago, in New York City. The goal, we can't speak for them, but I would just say this. They could have been talking about reparations, but instead they're talking about replacement. They're talking about other people coming in our neighborhood. These structures, the for-profit, they can do two things. They got a plan A and B possibly. Plan A is to stop this reparations talk among black people by getting someone else in here who will work my jobs. If they don't want to work our jobs, they want to rebel. So we'll replace them that way. Or B, if they come here and they don't act right now, we can fill up our private prisons, for-profit prisons. So either way it goes, it's a win for them, whether it's through the work or through the locking them up in the jails. Remember, America locks up more people than anyone else in the world. So don't be so high on your high horse. Locking up people is a business, and blacks are the majority that's locked up. All right. So my number is 312 area code 405-8844. That's 312-405-8844. Hit me up, text me, let me know what you think. But the bottom line is, it's going to cost us $1. It's going to cost us not spending our money with our oppressors. It's going to cost us having conversations with everyone that you know, because this is an all hands working together effort so that we can be able to have our own structure, our own system, and individually we're all contributing to that. Stay strong. Peace.